Good morning, Digit fam. Adam Dowd here with another day of tech goodness, and well, I'm fresh out of vacation tech to talk about. Don't get me wrong, I used a ton of tech on my getaway. I am me, after all. But everything else was pretty much garden variety stuff. Bottom line, it was great to get away for a few days. It was fun to play with some new stuff along the way. But for now, it is June 27th, 2019, and this is your Digit Daily. Things just got serious over at Apple in terms of chip development. I mean, they were always serious, but Apple just added an amazing resume to its fold, Mike Filippo, who is a massive dude who honestly looks about 2 steps removed from Stone Cold Steve Austin and could have been a guard extra in The Longest Yard. The dude is big, that's all I'm saying, but far be it for me to judge solely on looks. I would never do that. Mostly because this guy would destroy me. But seriously, Filippo brings some impressive credentials including ARM, Intel, and AMD. You name a CPU in the last 5 years, Mike had something to do with it. Specifically, Filippo's resume includes ARM's A57, A72, and A76, plus upcoming CPUs Hercules, Ares, and Zeus, which not coincidentally are also his nicknames on his softball, football, and bowling teams, respectively. And now his paycheck says Apple on it. So what is Filippo going to be doing over at Apple? Besides cage matches, I mean. Well, it's not immediately clear, but we like to speculate here on the Digit Daily, so let's get to speculating. Apple's iPhone processors are built in-house, but Apple relies on Intel to power its Macs. Intel and Apple aren't too happy with each other these days. Tim Cook directly blamed Intel for delays delivering the new MacBook Pro, so maybe Apple is looking to leave Intel behind. Again, only this time it's for PCs rather than mobile. And let's be clear, whether or not Apple and Intel like each other, it's always better to bring component manufacture in-house. In addition to cost savings, you get more control over your own hardware, and if there's one thing Apple needs more of, it's more control over its hardware. You can't see it, but I'm rolling my eyes. Anyway, it'll probably be a couple of years before we see the Filippo effect in Apple's chip designs, but if there's anything that Apple has demonstrated, it's that it understands the long game. Adding this set of skills to a team that already produces some of the highest benchmark chips in the mobile game is really going to up the bar for Apple's processors overall. So, while Mike Filippo does some house shopping over in Cupertino, let's head on over into the roundup! And in case you are wondering if things could get worse for Intel, don't worry, they can. Intel announced it will be auctioning off around 8,500 smartphone-centric patents and exit the industry. Ouchtown, population Intel, bro. You'll recall Intel already pulled out of the 5G game after Apple threw down its class ring and stormed out of the cafeteria straight into Qualcomm's Thunderbird in the parking lot. Now it wants to make the best out of a bad situation, so it's heading to the pawn shop. And speaking of getting things done yourself, Tesla is looking to build its own batteries for its electric vehicles and Powerwall projects. The company has thus far relied on Panasonic to supply batteries for its EVs and has blamed Panasonic on occasion for production speed issues that stymied car sales. It's unknown who Tesla will blame for future delays once its battery team is fully operational, but honestly, that's probably a long way off, so Elon has plenty of time to figure it out. If you're cutting the cord and don't care about sports, maybe give Philo a look. This podcast not sponsored by Philo. Philo recently introduced an Android and Amazon Fire app and offers 58 channels, none of which carry sports. And I get it, that's where I tuned out, but I'm sure many of you who don't care about sports might be interested in such a service. What I will say is that my family cut the cord almost 2 years ago, and it's been pretty great. Just make sure your ISP doesn't have a data cap. YouTube is giving back some control over what you watch by adding categories to the top of its recommendations. You can choose to watch more videos from the same creator you're currently watching, or based on similar categories of shows that you've watched in the past, which is nice, but the feature I'm looking for is removing certain channels from recommendations entirely. My kids live on YouTube these days, and I've been less than thrilled by some of the content that they've been watching lately. Yeah, I know, YouTube Kids, and it might get to that, but for now, more control over what you watch next is nice. Remember all those Boeing 737 MAX jets that were residing in the employee parking lot? Well, the FAA just found another problem with them that needs to be fixed before Eric from accounting can get his parking spot back. Apparently, this is a problem unrelated to the one that crashed 2 other jets this year, but it can also cause airplanes to go into a nosedive that is difficult to recover from. And people wonder why I took a road trip to New Orleans. Some of you may have noticed Tristan's comments in the newsletter about the intense heat wave that has been plaguing Germany these past few days. Well, you can add another casualty to the heat index, the Autobahn. It's too hot to drive fast on the famous German highway system, so Germany issued temporary speed limits until this heat wave passes. The reason? The heat's effect on the highway may cause it to buckle when you send cars zooming across it at 120 miles per hour, and that would be, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, right, bad. That would be very bad. Mobile gaming certainly can elicit addictive behavior. I myself often have to fight off the desire to play games from time to time, and I'm sorry to say, I lose that fight occasionally. But King, the maker of the game Candy Crush, reported that over 9 million people play Candy Crush for 3 or more hours per day, and suddenly I don't feel so bad about my Clash Royale time. Ironically, Alex Dale, the senior executive at King, gave that number out while discussing gaming addiction in front of British lawmakers. His view? He doesn't think gaming addiction is a problem, saying that those 9 million people represent a mere 3.4% of all people who play, and that those people who play that much have a lot of time on their hands, and apparently not a lot of friends or families or responsibilities. And finally, in addition to adding a second day to Amazon's Prime Day sales extravaganza, Amazon is adding a live concert event on July 10th. Also not a Prime number, Amazon. This concert will be available for Prime members only and will feature performances from SZA, Dua Lipa, and Becky G. Oh, and in case you want somebody you've actually heard of, it will be headlined by Taylor frickin' Swift, in case you are worried that Amazon doesn't have enough money. So that's going to do it for today's Digit Daily. If you'd like to learn more about any of these stories, check out the links in the show notes and subscribe to our daily newsletter on Digit.com. And if you like what you heard, subscribe, leave a review, and don't forget to tell your friends about DigitDailyPod.com. Once again, I'm Adam Dowd, Dead Technology on Twitter, and we'll talk again tomorrow.